What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. You guys know, if you've seen the last couple episodes, how much I lament bad execution and play calling. It's something that just drives. It's something because it's super avoidable. Like pre-snap penalties are something that I think are almost unforgivable. I know sometimes you're in the road, the crowd's going crazy, and they're doing silent counts and that kind of thing. I get it, but generally, it's a lack of discipline, a lack of focus, and I just can't. Right. So obviously, if you saw the game Sunday, the team played mostly well up until the last drive of the game where everything fell apart. It seemed like no one knew where he needed to be. No one knew how to get the play calls in. We were at home. Crowd noise was not a factor. The fan thing, the crowd was supportive, like, yo, come on, give me something to cheer about. And it was just different people running on and off the field. Just it looked like craziness, right? I talked about it a lot, but Coach McDaniel actually came out and gave his 2 cents on the situation. So let's see what he had to say. He said, that's kind of where the frustration lies with me. Is it wasn't deciding that cost us or a late play call, which that happens at times. I got the play call in, but I need to do a better job supervising the orchestration within our multiple personnel groups. To win games, you have to win the game and not lose the game, honestly. And that's how you lose the game. You're moving the ball down the field, you're first and 10, and then you find yourself at second and 20. That was critical. I love Coach McDaniel quotes because he says a lot of nothing and then there's something in there. There was some accountability in there, but also not as much. He was like, "Hey, I got the call in, but also I got to orchestrate things better." What Tua said the day before was we had too many guys in the huddles, so people were running out and people running back in, and there's too much happening. What's it sounds like, just like that quote, it's very convoluted. It's a 2 minute offense. Every team has a 2 minute offense. Every single team in the league, even the bad teams, have a 2 minute offense. We have certain personnel groups, especially when the clock is running, when we have time. Like it's not something that we should be like, what are we doing? The idea that 4 years into it, we're still being like, who should be on and off the field, to me is unacceptable. It's an unacceptable conversation. It's different if Jonah jumped off sides being a rookie guard. Hey, this is first time on the team. We didn't have any 2 minute really situation last week because it was such an abomination. So if he was like, maybe antsy or they had a blitz lineup over him and he was like kind of whatever, I would give Jonah the pass because one, he missed a bunch of training camp with the contract stuff, and two, he's a rookie. No issue there. We're cool. This was receivers who've been on the team and a quarterback who runs this offense perfectly, not doing this. And so the idea that I got to orchestrate the personnel groups better, it's like, hey man, why are we even running five, six different personnel groups in a 2 minute offense? Like, do we not have a three receiver set, one tight end, 3 by 1, run the team? You can flip which side of the field guys are on, but that's not running people on and off the field. I don't know what are we doing? We're not changing offensive linemen. So what are you changing the person? I don't get that we were moving the ball just fine. And then all of a sudden it just staled. Everything got stagnant and got out of control. And yeah, some of it is you got to orchestrate that offense better, but it also is from the foundation. It seems unsettled. That's the best way to describe this season. And really the offseason up to this season right now is unsettled. We know the outside noise. Everybody's going to talk about it. Oh, Coach McDaniel, Tua can't win. About Tyree, we're going to hear about all this stuff. We get that. But at the very core, it seems unsettled. When you ask people, what was the Dolphins' biggest issue coming into the year? Toughness, trenches, defensive intensity. Those are still issues now. We spent all offseason saying, hey, we different. We're a different team. And I said, cool. Keep that same energy. People like Devon and Bradley saying the same thing. Yo, man, we're different. Yo, we got a culture now. I said, great. Let's see it. And then we're seeing exactly the same thing, if not worse than what we saw before. So it makes it feel like this is just lip service. It makes it feel like y'all have just been talking about this stuff all off season, but you're not doing it. And then it starts begging the question: is Coach McDaniel the person to do it? And that's a real question. Is he the guy to instill culture? Is he the guy to instill discipline? Is he the guy to run an effective 2 minute offense? Is he the guy to get the foundational stuff strong? Is he that guy? This isn't me saying he isn't or he is. I'm saying this is the fourth year, and we're having the same conversations we had in year one. And I'm like, well, if this is a player, let's say a Cam Smith, for instance, if Cam Smith never got better in 4 years, how much longer are we going to say, yo, man, just keep up alive for Cam? At some point, you're like, do we need to get another corner or do we need to get him off the team? That's what normally happens. And we're doing this now, like this song and dance about personnel groupings in a 2 minute offense. If anything, 2 minutes should be easier because everything, the defense is on the defensive, right? They're rushing upfield, back on the line, rushing upfield, back on the line. The offense knows exactly what we're doing. All right, 2nd and 7, quick out of bounds, back to the line, 3rd and 3. Boom, like our offense is built for timing, precision. That's perfect for a 2 minute drill because we don't have time to mess around. 1-2, ball out, boom, get out of bounds, first down, on the line. The idea that we're still doing like, where are we doing? I don't get it. I don't get it, and I get that coach took some accountability. It's just, it's just frustrating. That's the best way to describe it. It's just frustrating, and hopefully listen, it better wrap up quick because our bye week is not until week 12, I believe. Uh, I don't think coach will make it to week 12 if this kind of stuff keeps going. I'll just say that. Can't be a Dolphin show without talking about injuries. We have more injuries. Chop Robinson was added to the injury report today. He didn't practice, and he said his knee feels fine, but was a limited participant in practice. So you do with that what you will. I've heard this many times from the offseason to right now. Oh no, I'm good. I'll see y'all, at the next preseason game or this week. And then all of a sudden, we don't see them for 4 weeks. This is damning, I think, because one, I don't think Chop has had a great season so far, and I expected Chop to explode. You guys know I said I thought Chop would get 12 plus sacks this year. I thought he would be making that Pro Bowl push, and he flashed once, and that was it. Now, if his leg was hurting him, if his knee was hurting him, and that's why he wasn't flashing, that makes sense. That's at least an explanation. Like, hey, I'm not flashing because I can't explode off my leg. Got it. But what's the issue? Is this like a all year I'm gonna have to wrap my knee thing up? Because if my knees aren't good as a defensive end, then where am I getting my power from? You drive from the legs. So if his legs aren't powerful, how is he gonna bend the corner? How is he gonna get into a bull rush if his knees aren't good? This feels like he's not playing on Thursday. I'm saying it now before the team announces it because I don't believe he's going to play on Thursday. I think it's more prudent to keep him out of the game, give him 10 days rest, and then when the Jets come around, then he'll be ready to go. Really, if he barely practiced today, the game for the Jets is in basically 2 weeks. That's almost a 2 week recovery, more or less. It's early in the year. I haven't seen the spread for the Buffalo game. I can't imagine it's less than 9.5. So we're not particularly favored to win this game. And if Chop is hobbled at all, fresh off a game, 3 days later, a new game, don't play him. I'm going to go on a limb and say, don't play him. Darren Waller was also on the injury report today. I know Darren Waller's not playing Thursday. We can stop with the shenanigans, all right? They can keep telling me all you want, limited participant in practice and getting better. He is not playing on Thursday. Full stop. Don't need to hear about that. Everyone else, like Bonner and Jones, and those guys are still injured. I don't think most of them are playing Thursday. I believe we're going to have I think 8 to 10 people that we expect to play will not be available on Thursday. So you're going to see probably a lot more rookies. We might call some guys up from the practice squad. I think there are a few who will try to give it a go because they know it's a really important game. But I think on defense, like especially, it's going to be a lot of youth out there. I think on some level, they might be punting on this Thursday game, thinking, okay, 0-3 is a really disastrous place to be. But we would have played Buffalo, who most people probably had as a loss already in the year. The other two games, we probably should have won one of these two, if not both, right? But the 0-3 going to the Jets. The Jets just played a terrible game. Justin Fields is in concussion protocol, so Tyrod Taylor will be playing most likely in that game. So the idea is like, okay, cool. If we can just get to the Jets game, get our first win, 1-3, that's a really bad quarter to start the year, but at least we're more healthy going forward. Because after that fourth week, we should be getting James Daniels back. Then we should be getting Austin Jackson back. Then maybe we get Darren Waller back. Who knows in that situation? But some of the guys that have been out, like Benito comes back. We might get Ethan Bonner back at corner. We start adding guys. We get healthier as the year goes on. That stretch from week 4 until week 9 is not a bad stretch in terms of games that we're playing. There's some wins in that part of the schedule. If we can get to that 9-week mark, 8-week mark, that 4-4, like I'm already thinking that far ahead. All right, I'm not. I haven't put a prediction out for the Buffalo game. I'll just spoiler warning. It's not good. Spoiler warning. I just watched him score 30 points with Josh Allen throwing for 120 yards and no touchdowns. It's tough. But if you can get to that 8-week mark at 4-4, then you're like, okay, we're obviously like probably like the 8-9 seed at that point. There'll be a number of teams ahead of us, but we play some of those teams like Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. We play some of those teams down the stretch, so you can redeem yourself. We played the Patriots and the Jets again down the stretch. So some of the teams in front of you, you play. Some of the teams in front of you, like the Colts, play teams like Houston, so that can kind of play itself out. The Jags are in front of us, I believe, at this moment. They should be 1-1, but they have to play the Colts and the Texans twice. So there's a lot of wiggle room there. We don't need to be in the playoffs by week 8. What you need to be is not out of the playoffs by week 8. The best way to be out of the playoffs, be hurt all year. Have your best players be hurt. I'd rather, hey Buffalo, you got it. Like we'll play y'all hard in the first quarter. If it's like a 7-point game by halftime, and some of the guys who are dressed out but weren't really going to play feel like, hey, maybe we can give it a go. We'll figure that part out. If it's 24-7 at halftime, hey bro, we're pulling it. Yo, throw in Quinn, throw in Zach. We moving on. We'll get healthy. We're moving on to next week, and then we can get to that halfway part of the season. Then we can do the last stretch, and the last stretch is, hey, can you go, 6 and whatever down the stretch, 6-3? Can you do that down the stretch? That's the game. Get to that 4-4 mark. Can you go 6-3 down the rest of the way? If you can, you'll make the playoffs. If you don't, then most likely not so much. I don't know if we can make the playoffs with the way our secondary is set up currently, though. I've been saying this, as you know, for about 2 months now. I am a Stephon Gilmore fan, all the way back from South Carolina all the way to now, because I think what he is at corner is not a liability. Period. He's really good at short range like routes. Like he just has good pattern recognition. He has good hands. He's still physical enough. He's not top end fast. So they start throwing some go routes against him. Problematic. Right? He's in his 30s now. Like he's on his way out. We know he's not the guy he used to be. I mean, he was a former defensive player of the year as a cornerback. That's a rarity. Although it happened last year with Pat Surtain. But it doesn't happen as often. Usually it's defensive linemen or I guess a safety if they're elite enough. He's not that guy anymore. Is he still better than the corners we have on the team? Yeah. I think maybe Rasul's the only guy that I can say I would take over him as a cornerback, like specifically. But I think he's still there. Now they're saying he wants less money if he goes to a contender, and then more money if he goes to a non-contender. And I guess Miami at this point is a non-contender. So for him to play out his last year of his career, maybe the last 2 years of his career, you got to pay a premium. I don't know what that money looks like. I don't know what paying more looks like. We're talking 3 million, 4 million. I don't think we're talking 6, 8, 10. I don't know how you could even possibly command that much money. I haven't looked at our cap before the show, so I don't know what we have to spend. I do know that he's not playing now. I'm curious which kind of shape he's in because he is also older. So he's older and not currently playing. It's not like he's on a team we can trade for. There are teams that will need a cornerback that are contenders. So it may mean, yes, do you want to pay the money out to get him? I think you should get him if you think this season's not a loss. And the fact that we haven't traded Tyreek yet tells me that the ownership group doesn't believe the season is a loss because we know people want Tyreek in the league, and we haven't traded him yet. And we're still we're still, adding pieces around to try to build it out. That tells me they haven't gave up on a year yet. But we know that we can't cover. It's been obvious in all the games so far. Secondary is not doing our job. Is it worth spending the money to bring him in for probably a 1 year rental? It depends if you think you can make it through this year. It depends if you think there's any level of contention this year. If you don't think you can contend, don't do it. Don't spend the money. It's dumb. Don't do it. I think you should do it just to have one, a vet in the locker room. Two, I think he can teach some of the younger guys the ins and outs. Like I don't want Rasul being like the sole teacher of the young guys in the secondary. And the way that Minka plays, I feel like the way he plays, you can't really teach what he does. He's just like kind of a rare talent. So I would like him more as a mentor, and then of course as a guy on the field. But I totally understand financially if the team just decides not to do it. What you can't tell the fan base though is we're all in. This guy's out there, and we're not going after him. That doesn't work. You can't do both. You can't be like, yo, we're all in on this year. Hey, go get that guy and make your team better. Now we're not doing that. But let me tell you something. We're all in. You don't get to be all these things. You can't say, hey, we're playing this rookie who was undrafted and he's gonna really be great. What about this guy? Who? Nah. This kid who you've never heard of is gonna be great. Like that doesn't work for the fan base. So we had to figure out where are we? Are you just trying to compete or are you not? I think this game Thursday will go a long way. If we somehow pull a miracle win in this, I can see very much so them making that move. Is like, okay, we're 1-2, going to play the Jets. We could be 2-2 by the end of that game. Let's make a move. If Thursday's a blowout, I don't. I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. We don't talk about Dan Marino on this channel a ton because it's. I feel like it's almost low hanging fruit to bring up Dan Marino in general. Dan is the man. He's Hall of Famer, arguably the best passer of the ball of all time. You know, he is. When you think of Dolphins, you think of Shula and Marino. That's typically how a lot of y'all probably even became fans in the first place. Today's his birthday. Shout out to Dan Marino. And on his birthday, he announced that he has a condition called MASH. Look it up yourself. It's hard to pronounce, but it's basically a disease of the liver. It's like a fatty liver disease. And the reason he decided to bring it up now is because he has been dealing with this since 2007. And he's been doing it in silence. He hasn't told anybody about it. But he wants to bring awareness to it about getting health screens, taking care of your diet and exercise. And we respect that. When I'm not doing the show in real life, I'm a personal trainer. I manage a gym at a country club. So I this is my realm. Like diet and exercise is what I do. Y'all can't see because it's just my head here, but the body is bodying, right? So when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay. It's like think of it like type 2 diabetes, where you can have it, but your diet and exercise can help you greatly manage the conditions of it. This is kind of the same thing. If you have too many fatty cells in your liver, it basically makes your body more inflamed, and the more inflamed your body is, the more that breaks down your liver, and it becomes a cyclical situation of you feeling lethargic and tired, your liver working extra hard, and as you get older, we don't. That's a no-fly zone. Typically, people who have this disease are people who are overweight, people who don't haven't been working out as often, people whose diet is really trash. That's typically how it associates. And for him, he got it a few years after he was playing, and he admitted, "Hey, I wasn't working out like I should have been. I may have been a little loose with my food." And so his body essentially started attacking itself. But with good diet and exercise, you can reverse the trends of this stuff. And you have to get your screenings. You have to go to your doctor. You have to stay on top of it. It isn't like fatal necessarily, but it just anytime you make your body work harder, why? You don't have to. Just do better. It doesn't mean you have to only eat kale. He switched to a Mediterranean diet, so he more or less is eating a lot of vegetables, vegetables like fish, things that are very like high in protein, low in carbs, because carbs can break down to sugars. We get that stuff. But the idea of it is stay on top of your health. That's what the biggest thing is. I mean, he's larger than life in Miami. Dan Marino can basically do no wrong. And in this case, when we see athletes, I think we have a tendency to like put them on a pedestal, like, you're just an amazing athlete. You're this pinnacle of like physical fitness. And when those guys stop playing, a lot of them are out of shape. I'm around former athletes all the time. You will be shocked at how many of them post career just because the game is what made them stay on top of their trends. It's the game is what made them stay on top of their food and exercise and all that stuff. And once the game is gone, there's a void. And that void gets filled with food or it gets filled with lethargicness or whatever. And that's it's a recipe for disaster. It's I know sometimes it's like, oh, I'm getting older. Oh yeah, I got a little older. I put a couple of pounds on. Just get checked out. And if your diet has been off and your workouts have been off, let me implore you today, as a Dolphins Daily you know, host, I guess, just get started in the right direction. Diet is the biggest thing. That's the number one thing. Late night eating is your biggest enemy. Try to avoid doing that. Obviously, drink your water. Of course, most of y'all live in Florida. You know it's amazingly hot. Stay hydrated. And then just make better food choices. I never tell anybody don't have ice cream, don't have wine, don't indulge. I never say that. I say do it in moderation. Like try to be good to yourself. If you're gonna have a rough dinner, like you're going out with friends, the birthday party, you're gonna turn up. Try to be good at lunch. don't don't have pizza for lunch and then go out for dinner and say like try to keep it in some level of control because you know what that looks like. A bad lunch followed by a bad dinner leads to a bad breakfast. And now you've lost basically 2 days and it can spiral. We've all seen the, oh, I had a bad meal and then I lost a week of food. We've all been there. I've been there even as a fitness professional, but just stay on top of it. If you're going to do something that's a little reckless, try to control it. Always stay in touch with your doctor, figure out what diet works for you. Not everybody's going to do a Mediterranean diet. Not everybody has the means to, eat high end fish and all that kind of stuff. But we can all eat less junk. But whatever that looks like for you. So I know that's not necessarily football related, but that's health related, and health is wealth. And I appreciate Dan for coming out and saying, hey, if my message can help anybody out there locking on their health, hopefully it does. He could have kept it to himself and just kept fighting his own battle, but hopefully the awareness makes some people at least examine what they've been doing. And then once you examine it, then you can determine how you want to handle it. If you have any specific health questions, like with food and exercise and stuff, hit me up. Like we'll see. Maybe I can send some information your way to get you on the right track. But as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate the love and support. If you want to get more from the channel, more from me, consider joining our. It's not a Patreon, but it's a paywall page where I do a little bit more deep dives into the game. You get to see a little bit more about me, talk a little bit more about the Dolphins. If not, totally cool. We love having you here on the show as well. We'll see you guys next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.